All you just need to do is keep listening. And I'm talking about my guest in the house. I already introduced Kamal. He's not unknown, he's very known. But I have an August visitor, yes. Someone that you don't get to see often. But when you see him, know that something is about to happen. And this time, you are about to not just gain knowledge, especially for sports lovers, those who are trying to juggle between passion, acceptance, self resilience, self reliance, and all of that. This is something you're definitely going to love. And we are going to be looking at self reliance. Yes, the last time on the show we spoke about self reliance, but we just spoke about it on a general term. But this time you're going to narrow it down to how you could nurture your passion to become self-reliant. Yes, how could you could nurture your passion to become self-reliant, whether you are looking at going into business, or you basically you want to be an entertainer, or you even want to venture into sports and all of that. So talking about sports, talking about nurturing your passion to become something productive for you, to enable self-reliance, I have an accomplished basketball player with me here. He is Yusuf Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Yakubu.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Cassandra.
you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm feeling quite tall because I have basketball players this side and this side. They say that basketball is a game of height. I do not know about that one shot, but I know that I will play basketball someday. Anyway, thank you so much. And when we talk about being accomplished, you're going to tell us more about this, how you got to a point where you nurtured your passion into who you are today, and how self-reliance actually inspired you. But regardless of that, thank you so much for joining us right here on the show. It's a pleasure, and we are hoping to tap into your world of experience. All right, so basically, we cannot deny the fact that self reliance is a powerful quality that plays a very crucial role in nurturing one's passion, whether in sports, in arts, in academics, or any other area of interest. But today, we want to look at it particularly from sports, yes, especially when it has to do with. I know it's these days that acceptance is coming a little bit. I remember that some time ago when people when children would tell their parents that I want to be a footballer, I want to be a sportsman or woman, like you want to stop school, and all of that. So how was it like trying to? Did you encounter that challenge of juggling between education, acceptance from parents or family, that oh, you need to go to school and not focus on sports and everything? How did you convince your parents about you becoming a sportsman?
Thank you so much thank you so much, Cassandra, for the question. And it's quite emotional, quite touching to know that my time of growing up, back in the days was very very tough. Our parents were very timid in that aspect because they didn't believe in us being, going through sports. They believed in going to
Yeah.
school
Yes.
before anything else. So it was pretty tough. We had to do a lot to make them understand and see what sport could bring to the table. And that's where resilience comes in, and the mental toughness to be able to convince our parents at that time. It was pretty tough, and I would say my parents were not fully in support at that time. It took me a while to be able to convince, my parents, and I can remember how my mom would take off my shoes and get them somewhere so I don't find those shoes to go
So you
play.
don't go to play.
Yes. So it took a lot from me, my coaches and friends, the community to convince my parents, and I think that's where community effort comes in into support, letting my parents understand that hey, this man is, this young man is very. I was a kid. This kid is very very talented. He's skilled. We've seen him play, and we think you should encourage him to play. So it took a while for my parents to see that, and I'm very very proud to say today, this is my means of survival. This gave me the doors, But with all these, without resilience, without perseverance, without understanding who you are, and setting your goals and knowing what you want as a kid, I wouldn't have been here today. You know.
All right. Now, I think I like the fact that you are very specific about resilience. You are very specific about knowing what you want. I believe that before you become self reliant, before you even nurture your passion into something great, you need to know who you are
Yes,
and
man.
what your interest is. So,
Right, correct.
how did that work for you?
I think first of all, it started from me growing in the barracks. I was in a military barracks, so
Okay.
I grew up in Kaduna, so in the barracks at that time. So just knowing the fact that we grew up knowing what you wanted. As a child, you have to understand that you get pushed around a lot, and you being in that zone, you have to be mentally tough to be able to scale through. So I think that was a very tough child upbringing for me as a man, as a young man. I was able to understand that I had to go for what I wanted. So I was a soccer player first before I
Oh.
went into playing basketball. So playing basketball was just because I started getting, tall and tall. So one of the coaches saw me and said, "Hey, young man, I think his name was Coach Gamble from Kaduna State. He's old now, and he said, "Hey, I think you can play basketball. You're tall, so why don't you come give it a shot?" So I went out there and checked it out, and I liked it. All I could do was just dunk the ball, and I was like, okay, this is for me, and I started. But it was pretty tough because at that time you couldn't get, getting shoes to play was tough. Doing a lot of stuff. The access to basketball was not pronounced, so we had to find a way around to make sure we fit into the basketball community instead of just soccer that
Yeah.
we're known for. Basketball was a whole different kind of setup, so it was tough. It was pretty tough, but just knowing the fact that I had big sisters that knew what basketball was, they were basketball lovers, and they looked at me and said, "We'll support you. We'll give." So they would get me shoes and get me all that. So that was pretty cool for me to understand that I had to support, even though my parents were not there to like really support me. And unfortunately, I like to say this, I lost my dad about 10, 15 years ago, and he only saw me play basketball once, and that really hurt. So I would like to tell family, parents to always support your kids and try to see these kids play. So that would really go a long way to help these kids understand that look, you're doing well and we're here to support you as long as you're off the street. And these are things that keep kids off the street.
Yeah.
It comes with mental toughness. It comes with your sensational perception about life. And these are things we really need to understand in Africa, in Nigeria, because most times we don't get to see the world because we're being tied around this community. We don't get the support. The exposure is not there. So I really tell you, my upbringing was a pretty tough one, but that gave me the mental toughness to scale through.
Your story is quite inspiring, I must say. The fact that you started from soccer before moving on to basketball and everything, and now here we are. Basically, you're telling us a story. Now, Mr. Kamal, listening to his story, the fact that he didn't find it easy, even though he knew what his passion was, he identified it and knew that this is what he wanted at that time, but it really wasn't easy because of the challenges, possibly from family or even from trying to afford even what the gear that he needed to wear and everything.
Yeah.
What would you say to the young person listening that is possibly finding themselves in this situation? It's not because they don't know that they have a passion
Yeah.
or they can actually be self reliant or
Yeah.
even turn this passion into something productive. What would you say to them?
All right, thank you very much, Cassandra. And I would like to say that I like this particular edition of Self-Reliance and the fact that we have an accomplished player like
Yes,
Yusuf himself.
yes.
Yeah. I would like to liken life to sports. And just like in sports, there are often challenges in life too.
Yes.
Right? And there are pretty much setbacks, there are lots of obstacles, and everyone needs to know that for you to progress with whatever your passion is, then you have to overcome your setbacks and you have to overcome those obstacles that would come your way. And then you don't just try to overcome these setbacks without being prepared without you preparing yourself. So, firstly, you need to identify what your passion is,
Yeah.
and also know the possible setbacks and prepare for whatever eventuality that is going to come your way. And eventualities are better defeated when you are better prepared for whatever it is that
Yeah.
comes your way. So, firstly, it will have to be skill mastery. Once you identify what your passion is, we have a lot of resources lying out there for you to identify whatever it takes in order to succeed in your chosen line of your dream basically,
Yes, your passion.
and whatever passion it is. So if, for instance, your passion is basketball, just like Shaq, I doubt he only had the drive coming from within himself,
yeah.
right? There are a lot of people who must have done it just like him, and that's why this opportunity for him to speak to young listeners actually is very important, because when they listen to someone who is accomplished, then they have an idea as to how they could actually pursue these dreams. So listen to people's stories, try to identify the obstacles they have been. That way you could be liberated
Yes.
to actually muster the courage and the energy to pursue your passion through developing your skills. So you pick up a ball, shoot the ball every time. If it's marketing you're into, try to meet people who have been there. Try to know this prerequisite skill. You know you need to be able to convince people. So you need to develop that oratory, right? To be able to talk to people, you need to learn how to brand your message in a way that it would be appealing to your listeners or your
Yeah.
target audience. You need to basically know what your market needs.
Yes.
And what your market needs is what you will be using actually to develop that skill set that is required for you to move
Ahead.
forward, in your life or your passion, basically.
Yes, and you know, you've said so many things. The fact that you just need to keep your head up and keep going regardless of those challenges.
Yeah.
But you know that in the course of pursuing your dreams, in the course of trying to nurture this passion
Yeah.
into something tangible, there are challenges, and sometimes these challenges are inward, especially listening to the story that our accomplished basketball player has given. The fact that one of the resistance that one of the first resistance he faced was actually from his folks.
Yeah.
Yes. So what would you say to parents? Because when it comes to sports, there is still misconception. Even though the world is fast advancing, there are still some parents that when their children start to talk about, oh, I want to be a baller, I want to be a footballer, I want to be this or this person, a sportswoman or sportsman, or I even want to go to music, I want to go into acting and stuff. They'll be like, oh, you want to be like those people that are always showing themselves, showing their body and all of that. So what would you say to parents to encourage their children or to change the notion or the narrative that they have about these particular professions?
All right, thank you very much. And the message is simple, actually. And what I would say to parents is the world have evolved past the way that you knew it. And if you open your minds and your hearts, you would see how much the world have evolved.
Yeah.
And this is particular so because I remember when the world was highly dependent on health practitioners, because the world never knew certain health challenges prior to then. Health practitioners were seen as some sort of superheroes because they were the only ones who were able to cross those borders and be able to partake or engage themselves in actions that will save humanity, if I might put it that way. And even within these practitioners, you had a time when the female child wasn't allowed to do some of these professions.
Yes.
But with time, we saw that it was no problem at all, and they needed to get into this practice in order for whatever it was for it to be fostered. Then came a time where bankers were well sorted after. They were like some sort of celebrities too. Whenever you see a banker, a lot of people aspired for them because financial literacy wasn't really there, and they were helping us do something that we were not able to do prior to the inceptions of these professions. So they were seen and they were celebrated. And then the world evolved to where one of our major problems was climate change, right? Climate change, and then environmental scientists or environmentalists were sorted after just to help us understand the climate, and they were celebrated. Here comes a time where our problem is quite different.
Okay.
We face a problem of racism. We face a problem of divide. The world is going through numerous wars. But there's something I have seen that was able to unite the world throughout all of this, and that's sports.
Yeah.
I see every Nigerian come together in a room and celebrate
Yes,
a goal
yes,
scored by
yes,
Osimhen.
yes.
Whether they are from the north,
Or the
whether they are
south.
from the south, whether they are Muslim or Christians, it unites. I've seen numerous Nigerians cheer and hug each other and celebrate with one voice, oneness, and not saying, you know what, a Christian scored that goal, a Muslim scored that goal. It's a Nigerian, and that brought a sense of passion. It brought a sense of patriotism. We always wish the country well. I never saw a Nigerian saying, I wish this Nigerian Super Eagles team would fail in their coming competition.
Yeah.
I hear for the prayers of unity.
Yes.
Right? However, it's no longer that way when you look at the current dispensation of things. We curse our leaders and wish for things to go wrong. So this is what I want to say as an end note, right? We have seen how important this sport is. And not like when you end up playing this sport, you cannot earn. You cannot change the world or impact on the world. And you can also actually get yourself a high level of education. It is fulcrum to changing the world. It
Okay.
is a voice larger than everyone. And there's nothing wrong with sport if you take a deep look at it.
There is nothing wrong with sports, and the fact that sports is quite uniting. It is a means, a tool for unity, and like you said, it's a fulcrum for changing the world. All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Okay, now let's get back to our superstar. Now, looking at you being a sports person, could you tell us how sports engineers self-reliance?
First of all, it just I would say it starts from your drills, from your basketball workouts. It helps boost your personal confidence. It just tells you that when you keep your focus straight, you understand what this is about. You have a goal. You set your goal straight. I'm gonna wake up in the morning. Getting up from the bed is one of the most difficult thing about life. In the mornings. That's why when you see the older ones, the older folks get older, and it's always very tough for them to get up.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a little while for them to, body metabolism to walk around and all that. So for me, it comes with what your passion is about, understanding your passion, knowing the fact that I have to strive, I have to set a goal for myself. That's when you get that full bodied encouragement to understand that I have to go with this. If I do this every day and become a master at this, I can be who I want to be. I can lead the world. If you don't repeat, no matter how perfect you think you are, if you don't repeat these things, you don't go under repetitions, you don't get to understand the science behind it, the logic behind it, the tricks to pleasing, coming from what he said, what Mr. Kamal said, it comes with you repeating stuff and understanding that I'm selling this product to these people. I want them to buy these. In my field as an aircraft engineer, we have what we call quality guys. When we done what we do, we have the quality guys come in there and inspect what you do and give it a pass.
Okay, so wait, let me get something. So we are yet to even know all of you. Are you telling me that you are an aircraft engineer?
So I'm a full aircraft AMTI.
Oh. So there's much to you than it is that
Than
we
just
know.
basketball, but it started
wow.
from the sports that
It's
actually
engineered that. It
Yes,
paved the way for
thank
you
you.
to reach to that.
Yes,
So
so-
was this whole engineering thing in the works? Did it ever occur to you, or it was just something that you thought about later?
So I would like to be honest to everybody. So in this world that we live in today, when you're successful, everybody recognizes you. But when you're down there, most times it comes back to the communities. People don't see that good side of what you can become in life. And that is why we back on the support to encourage these kids. So I would say me going through this it didn't just come from today. When I had the privilege to go overseas, I'll be honest with you, I just lost my dad. I didn't have the means to get my flight ticket. I just got in my visa to leave overseas, and I couldn't afford to go overseas. So for me to get a ticket to fly overseas was one of the most difficult part of my life.
Oh.
Because I couldn't afford it. I couldn't say. I tried to talk to families, to people, but nobody would help. It was all empty promises. But I wouldn't blame anybody because everybody had their responsibilities.
Of
I was
course.
nobody's
Of course.
responsibility at that time. So, to me, just from not being able to provide a flight ticket to fly overseas, and now being able to build the same aircraft that I couldn't afford to get on going overseas, to me, it's a big passion.
Ooh, that's
know?
permit me to clap because
welcome, man.
this is quite inspirational. The fact that you moved from not being able to afford a flight ticket to being one of those people that would assemble, manufacture an aircraft. I think it's quite commendable. And I just want to say that for parents, if you're listening to us this afternoon, you just need to know that sometimes it takes one to get to the next, to another. Maybe that child that has passion for football in the family, you are trying to hold them back. Football, apart from the fact that it could be a way of nurturing his passion, could be a way of breakthrough, not just for him, but also for the family. Yes, because in Africa we believe so much in the black tax and everything, liberating the family through one person. And so it could just happen. I think it's a culture that is not going out anytime soon. That's just the truth. Black tax is not going out anytime soon because, as we can see, the issues are still there. So but I like the fact that you got that inspiration, for the fact that you could not afford that ticket. You said to yourself, I'm going to be responsible for making this one day. So now, what part of this world can you not fly to?
And do you know what one thing that is great about his presence? Yeah? I got really touched when I got the call from him saying he was going to come down to Nigeria, and one of his major things he wanted to do was to come and preach the words of impact and all of that. So when I got the call, I was really excited that a lot of people could basically pick from it.
Yes.
And there's actually something he's here for, a camp for young individuals, right?
Okay.
Where he's going to basically teach them about life, basketball, and it's really a privilege that they will be getting this story, right, from an individual who have been through life from all prison. And that's really commendable. When I heard he was doing that, I remembered the time when this particular thing was a challenge to him, and now him getting back to give back. What am I saying? Is whenever it is you let your light shine, would come a time where you will be so powerful that you'll be liberating other people to actually be able to do the same. So instead of hindering people to pursue their dreams, try to accomplish it, overcome whatever obstacle that it is that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
You do not know how many lights you will stand in the way for to get lit on again. Yeah, so that's really inspirational.
Yes, really quite inspirational. I like the fact that he's not just stopping at himself,
Yeah.
but coming back to give to the community, give back to the society by nurturing these young ones to understand that beyond the sports, you would need a lot of life skills to move ahead. You would need a lot of other things for you to acquire that to achieve that self-reliance, for you to achieve or accomplish your goals. Because sometimes this talent could get into their heads and they could forget where they are actually coming from. So I want us to also look at it from that perspective. When talent or passion gets into your head, how do you balance it between what should be, and also so that you do not get out of reality, you do not get out of touch with reality and the need for you to remain focused? Anybody can actually answer that.
Okay. Thank you very much. And it goes without saying that your passion actually brings about your end means if you pursue it properly and do all it takes to get where you have to get to. So one major thing, one major way to stay on top is when you're goal-oriented.
Yes.
Right? Goals help you to go over and over and over again. And for a lot of accomplished individuals, they would agree with me that when you set goals and you reach that goal, it actually opens another door inside of you. It's like an onion, right?
Yes.
Except if you did not structure your way at first before you even started pursuing those goals. But if you have a dream, if you have an image about where you are headed, then you know that you need to do all it takes, and it's not sufficient. If your target now is to be like an NBA superstar, just like LeBron James, for instance, right? Or Hakeem Olajuwon, if we are talking about Nigerians
Yes.
who have accomplished. You know that being a national team player is an accomplishment, a very big accomplishment,
of course.
but it doesn't stop there. Because
still
to be
aspire
like
for
Hakeem
more.
Olajuwon, you do not need just one NBA ring. You do not need two. You need three. And then there are numerous other people, and that's why I love sports, right? And try to liken it to life, because it's a competition. It's challenging. A lot of people are going for the same goal just as you.
Yes.
And you know that if you do not do more, then you'll be trumped ahead and you might never get to accomplish that goal. So what would you do if you were in the person's shoes? You just have to keep on working because you have a picture, you have a vision, you have a dream, you have an idea of how to get there. And remember, when I started talking, I was talking about learning from those who have done it. So through those people who have done it, you have an idea about what you have to do to get to where you're going.
Course,
to.
of
So
course.
yeah, and yeah.
Okay. Please.
Yeah, so adding to what my brother just said, come on.
Yeah.
So it starts with a very humble beginning, just knowing where you started from,
Yes.
knowing how you were treated when you're growing up, and that's the reason why I said it takes a whole community to raise a child. So when you go to a child, these kids don't forget. One of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing today is because in my community where I grew up, there was general love, general acceptance by the people, and coming from the people as well. So I knew that I was generally accepted, and I told you in the beginning that my parents did not really see or know how good I was until the community started telling them like,
Yeah.
you know, your child is this, is that. They're like, oh, for real? So, and that came out to like, oh, we have to support this child. So it comes to, I would say the humble beginning comes in when you raise your child properly, the community show love and support to these kids. It helps these kids understand. They don't forget. Everything that happened to me as a child, I can remember. Closely, the nice ones I can remember, the bad ones I can remember. So when you do things to kids and you think they don't understand, they don't remember, no, you are wrong, because these kids understand and they know that they were shown love. So if we keep supporting these kids, regardless of even if the parents could not see or cannot see, we have to try to bring these stories, these activities to the parents to see that, hey, we are fans of your kid. Can you support this kid? Can you encourage these kids? Because it helps them remember back home where they started from. So we as Africans, that we as Nigerians that we are, we have to learn to understand that we can be a better place if we come together and show love to these kids, especially when it comes to the youths. Because when these kids, when they're youth, they're still that young, you can actually inculcate whatever you want to bring into these kids for them to understand what life is really about.
Yeah.
And that is where mentorship comes in. And that's what we're about.
I like the fact that you emphasized on community and you have not removed the place of community in your success story. The fact that it took the community for your parents to see the light that really indeed this was the stuff you are made of and is still made of are so good to know. And I would always refer to this African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child, even though these days people just feel that don't touch my child, it's my child, mind your business and stuff. But we still want to bring that back so that people would understand that even when it comes to nurturing passion, even when it has to do with nurturing people to become sportsmen and women, it's still going to take possibly the conviction of the community or the parents so that they would understand the need to allow their children to flourish regardless of it. I think that if the child is not aspiring to be a thief, if it's not aspiring to steal or even go into other social vices, then by all means support them. You know, some parents would say, okay, even if you want to go into music, if you want to go into acting, at least get educated. Get educated. So how do you now balance education? Because we still cannot take out the place of education when it comes to that. So as much as we're encouraging these young people to nurture their talent, to nurture their passion into being self-reliant, we still cannot take away the place of education. Or
Yeah.
do you have a different opinion?
Actually, no.
Okay, okay.
No. Because each and every one of us actually pursued our degrees. We actually have master's degrees,
Ooh.
and it's fulcrum to whatever pinnacle you're able to achieve in sports, right?
Yeah.
It gives you an edge over a lot of individuals. I know of great sportsmen because we're on air. I can't even mention their names, but there were people who got to the highest pinnacle, but they couldn't sustain their success just because they are not educated enough, right, to maintain that level of education. In sports takes a lot of calculation. It takes a lot of emotional power. It takes a lot of willpower. It takes ethics and values.
Ooh.
It takes, you will be relating with individuals. Remember, I
of
said your
course.
impact transcends beyond boundaries, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
you will be, how do you then impact on people? Yeah, maybe how you play actually matters. But imagine you without an education. How do you then pass on these lifelong lessons? How do you then communicate these lifelong lessons without education? How do you then conduct yourself? Civics and moral education.
Yeah.
How do you become the light of the world if you do not actually align yourself with proper education? So education is big. And in this, why I like the sports community in Nigeria, most especially the basketball community, we have already established that without education you can't be anybody. So a lot of people got their opportunities, their scholarship, get to where they with education.
Yeah.
With education, a lot of people you see making it big in sports, especially basketball, had to go to school. So it's no magic. It goes hand in hand. One can't go after the other. So much as we are saying allow your kids to pursue their passion, we are also saying that education is foremost and is of the essence. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
so-
hear you. Go ahead.
So I think that is where Yusuf Yakubu comes in when it comes to the educational aspect of sports.
Okay.
Because we have a standard in Nigeria, in Africa, especially for the youths. There's no system that encourages you to go to school and play basketball or do sports, because it's believed that if you sports athlete, let's say athletes are not really intelligent, and no, that is not true.
It's a misconception.
Because you see athletes, for you to be able to calculate how to project a ball into a basketball ring takes a lot of
Mental
mindset, work on
calculations,
repetitions and all
yes.
that. So that is smartness. That is being very, very intelligent to understand that I could throw this ball from this distance to that distance. That's math. Then coming to
And
physics.
the energy.
And the
Yes,
energy.
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
so people need to understand. That's why I said physics.
Yeah.
So people need to understand this. So we don't have a system like that in our country that provides scholarship, and that is the reason why I'm back home and I'm giving scholarships to kids to go to school. As long as they're accessible to me and I can see the talent in them, the dedication, the hard work, I want to be able to compensate these kids through my other colleagues, pour them through school for the year, so the parents we can take the loads off the parent and say, hey, your kid is this talented. Please don't worry about the tuition for this year. Yusuf, and my other, members of my
Colleagues,
organizations,
yeah.
we coming together to pay your child's tuition for the year, so they can actually focus on this, and we're giving them a goal. If you have all A's, all parallel A's, I'm paying it for you. I'm paying your tuition next year. So, mommy, daddy, do not worry about these kids. Just support them and encourage them. Make sure they know that if you pass and have these certain grades, you stand a chance to get this without
Yes.
trying next year. We can still provide this. So that's why I'm here.
So if I could just add,
Yes, please.
like,
Go
real
ahead.
quick,
Go ahead.
there won't be a Yusuf Yakubu coming back and being an aeronautic engineer without education.
Of
right?
course, of course.
Remember, he played at the highest pinnacle. I am a space scientist, and you know when you talk about rocket science, it's like an
You guys,
impossibility,
it's screaming.
Right? So, and one thing that have actually, right, one thing I can tell you, it's actually the sports. The sports have given me an edge. You're better prepared. You could organize yourself better. You could do a lot of things. So yeah, sports is an advantage in education, and education is actually an advantage in sports.
There you have it. You guys have basically said all that is there to be said. I like the fact that we have also touched a lot on the education part, because when it comes to accepting this talent or passion, some parents express the worry that their children may get to abandon education at the end of it, and some children that do not know think that, oh, because you have to chase up education. But now you see, yes, we have an accomplished basketball player that is well educated, an aeronautic engineer. Yes, he didn't just stop at being a sportsman, he also went ahead to become something better. And I know that you've not stopped aspiring. That is what it is about living. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the show. We appreciate you. And I must say that this was very conversational. And apart from the fact that it was conversational, very inspirational. And I believe that my listeners also share some sentiment for the fact that we didn't just learn, but we took lessons. And of course, these lessons are going to be applicable in our lives, especially as regards balancing passion, society, and also the need for us to be self-reliant as young people in our nation, Nigeria. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Shaq, I'm going to call you by your... yes.
Me.
Yes, thank you so much. Shaqs are known for going all out for what they want. So I like the fact that you are actually coming back to give to society and also nurture the young ones. Yes, it's time for them to understand that as much as you are passionate, you need to be self-reliant, you need to be resilient to pursue passion. If not, it's not going to work. Thank you very much.
I have one last thing to say.
Please go ahead.
Key word to this is, if you fail to plan,
you're planning
to
fail.
So always remember that. Set your focus, set your goals, set a standard for yourself.
Yeah.
Resiliency is a very, very big tool to success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There you have it. Words on the marble. Let's hear your final take before we round it up here.
So I'm just going to say, a world that you create is a world that your sons and daughters cannot escape. So whatever it is you impute in there, just remember that you are leaving an impact, a mark that you cannot escape from. Because one day you're not here, and then your children would live in the society that you've created. Thank you.
Exactly. That is what it is, basically. How are you accepting your child's talent or passion? You just need to find a way around it. Do not be hard, yes, because at the end of the day, you just see that you really cannot stop what is going to be. But the way you manage it at the beginning is going to determine how it will go. Thank you very much for listening to this hour. We appreciate you, and do not forget to join us again next week right here for another captivating moment on National Core Values. I am Cassandra Unumbi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. And to you, my wonderful listener, thank you for staying up until this moment. Bye for now, and do not forget, it's still the Midday Extra Show right here on Eagles 102.3 FM. Your radio experience that you can always count on.
Instagram, Eagles FM 102.3. Download